And
All
we
right.
go.
Welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to your weekly TFFL webcast. It is Wednesday, September 29th, 2021. I got to check these things. We are looking back at week 3 TFFL action, looking ahead to week 4 already, believe it or not. Some interesting headlines coming out of week 3. We had our first tie of the season. Rich, Lizards and the Sponge tying at 66. Dak Prescott making that happen. Quick reaction, Rich. I mean, you were the one coming from behind there.
Yeah. I thought coming out of Sunday night with Aaron Rodgers not fully lighting it up, we had a good chance to get 20 out of Dak. Having him put up 2 the week before and have him put up 30 the week before that, it was, anyone's game. But I felt good about the matchup. I felt like he would have a good game, and he came out on fire. And then after the first 3 series, I was never more frustrated in my entire life after watching the CD Lamb catch come up grass blade short of the end zone, and then trying to, pass to Zeke, doesn't get in on the end zone on the next one that comes up. And then he tries to take it in, which was clearly a touchdown. And they stuck with the call on the field. And that was just painful start to it. And I from there on, I was actually in a really bad mood. I was just frustrated. Liz had to leave the room because she was just like, you're no fun to watch this with now. And that's how I felt. And then, it was, I really didn't feel like after the first half when they had that interception for a touchdown right out of the gate, I was like, this game script is just not going my way. And I walked away. I came back to see it.
You saw it. Okay.
I needed to get some air at that point. I was just like, and then they came back and they tied it. And while I was happy not to lose, I was also, that's what a tie feels like. I wanted to win, and I felt like they 2 yards short. It was painful. So happy I didn't lose, I really wasn't overjoyed either. It was like, all right, it's a tie. It's not a loss. Okay.
But TFFL excitement early in the season and our first tie of the year.
Yeah, it was good. It was a great game for John and I, obviously. After he put up 128 the week before, I didn't know what to expect. So I was happy to come away with a tie that way.
So as I go through the headlines, I don't want to spoil our look at the standings just to come in a moment, but I know Phil doesn't often break things down by division. So I'll call out that both the Lizards and the Beavers have kind of staked early claims in their division. We're done with the first batch of division games, and not only are these guys 2-0, but the other team, or the other teams in their division are just not looking good right now. And both the Lizards and the Beavers 2-0 in their division thus far. So good early start. Got to keep it up, obviously, but the Beavers and Lizards, kind of a comfortable margin here coming out of the gate. Panel intros, and then we'll get into trivia questions, standings, and our usual chat. Our commissioner, Lizards King and Ruler, Rich.
Already starting to melt away, but I wanted to show off my Han Solo. You really can't see it anymore. You guys saw it earlier, though.
We did see it. It exists. The Millennium Falcon.
Was really good. The Millennium Falcon does show up. You can see it there a little bit. There you go. He's melted now, but he's going to be enjoyed with some Henry McKenna tonight. 10-year is the drink of choice this evening. So greetings, everyone. Enjoy the commissioner report.
Yes. Just came out, perfectly timed. Hey, our czar and CEO of the K-Wheels and our IT director.
Yes. Right? Don't forget that.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. Glad to be here. Nothing else.
You're missing a bin up there.
I'm missing a bin. Yeah, it's
sold out.
My shelf. I keep some storage there and there, because I need. And actually, this whole last row is empty because I need some places to put things.
It's good color coding you have there.
It's impressive.
Sophisticated filing.
Berto, I have an entire logistics operation that would make you proud down there.
No supply chain issues in Falls Church.
No, just between here and China and Madagascar.
High command from Jack's Giant Killers.
Stick,
Berto?
how are you?
I
got. No, go. What
I
were
was
you
just going to say I'm doing very well tonight. How are you?
Good. I took a little snooze before the webcast. My wife's like, I heard you snoring in there. I didn't know if you were going to do a webcast or not. I didn't see the email until late, so I'm glad we got on tonight. So I'm well rested.
Good.
Excellent.
Well done.
Just one quick question, Berto. Is there something up with your webcam? You seem like it's not as normally sharp as it is.
That's true. Berto usually has like crystal clear.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a connection or something with it, but usually you're pretty sharp, and it looks a little.
Is that better?
Right
No.
Nope.
No, I'll work on it.
All right. See what you can do there. Get your best man on it.
You got your IT director right here. He might have some
That
suggestions.
may just be because he woke up from his nap.
It could be.
Yeah, that
It's
could
just
be.
Maybe it's just still a little blurry.
the nap haze.
I woke up from my nap and I cracked a beer. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Not bad.
So we mentioned last week, unfortunately, the chief probably wouldn't be able to join us often on Wednesday nights. But I'm very excited to report we're gonna dive into something live here and see what we got. This showed, no joke. This all showed up in a package on my doorstep this morning. USPS package from Chief, perfectly timed. And I'm a little nervous about tripping over some trivia questions and revealing answers. So I haven't done anything with this until now. We're going to see what we got here.
A live box opening. This is something that the kids watch all the time on YouTube. Is they do these unboxings.
Unboxing.
Oh,
This is gonna get us a bazillion views.
that's right.
All right, so we're live unboxing TFFL trivia from Chief. First, I have a note. On St. Jude Children's Research Hospital note paper with little owls.
Good, high class.
Stick, I'm going to sit out this season. Unfortunately, we probably won't see Chief often, but we're not going to let him sit totally out. We'll get him a couple nights. Here are 8 trivia questions and answers for the group. The order is not at all important. Good luck, Chief. And there was an enclosed Gary Anderson card.
Nice.
P.S. Sorry if I already gave you this one. I don't think so. He gave me Mike Webster at the draft. And then I've got the standings. I guess I'm going to have to keep track of the standings going forward. Berto, you're in the lead right now with 7.
Great.
Hank with 6. Stick with 5. Berkman with 4. He says he's also going to try to keep the standings, though, which means we've got a viewer every week.
At least one.
All right, and I've got envelopes here. I know this
Former
is
host.
not super exciting, but I've got envelopes labeled A6, Q7. And the order wasn't important, so I'm just going to take the first matching pair I find. I've got Q7 and I've got A7.
Okay.
So we're gonna do Q7 is going to be our Q1.
Before you start, could we just say, Chief, this is brilliant.
This is
Thank you
impressive.
so much for the effort that you put into this, and
Very fun.
we're so looking forward to unveiling these week by week.
Yeah.
And I love the detail that he put into the separate envelopes. He didn't just say flip it over. Brilliant.
But we do have to get Chief on here, though.
Oh, we will.
Oh
But
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, he could have just mailed that. He could have sent an email document. Could have done any kind of number of things. No, sealed envelopes with questions and answers. High class. Well done, Chief.
I bet you anything that Arthur Anderson Consulting, did the auditing of those before Stick received them.
Did you see the hieroglyphics on this card?
I did. I saw it.
Okay, so
That's quite the question.
This is going to be the longest trivia session ever. We've already dragged it out.
Better get started.
Now I need to read this. All right. Pay attention. I don't want to have to repeat this. 2021 marks the initial 17-game NFL season and, consequently, the initial 14-game TFFL season. This year, the East Division teams will play an extra game versus a team from the opposite conference. I'm already confused. as will the West divisions based on last year's results. No. Based on last year's results, who should be favored? NOCO West teams played 9 games. Hold on. I feel like Berto's also a second behind, but that may just be, again, Berto waking up from his nap.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
All right. Based on last year's results, who should be favored? NOCO West teams played 9 games versus SoCo West teams in 2020, as did the NOCO East versus the SoCo East. Which division won more of these cross-conference games? So you're basically guessing NOCO East versus SoCo East and NOCO West versus SoCo West. Which division won more of those games last year? 1 point for guessing each one correctly.
Okay.
All right. So NOCO West versus SoCo West, NOCO East versus SoCo East.
And it might help to know which teams those are.
And we're 1 point each.
For guessing which division in each case. Chief, that's not going to be my favorite trivia question out of the batch I just received.
So it's the whole division. We're guessing NOCO East, NOCO West.
Yep.
Or just there's 2 answers to this, right?
There are 2 answers, yes.
I got it. Yeah. Right. So you said the East played the East?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I got an answer.
All right, let's move on. Commissioner report. Rich, what do you got for us?
I'm still working on my thing. Can we go past me and come back to the
standings?
Let's go do the TFFL standings with Hank.
Come on back.
I'm going to blow myself up here while I can't even do that anymore. All right, here's the standings. Through week 3, we have 1 team with a 0 in the loss column. Congratulations, Lizards. You are the last of the undefeated teams.
We'll take it.
We then get into the 5 teams who sat at 2-1, the Ampac, K-Wheels, and Giant Killers. Hey, they're all in the same division. That must be a pretty good division. The Beavers and the Hams representing their divisions in the Southern Conference. And as Thick mentioned, they have quite an advantage as we stand here today. Sponge in at 1-1-1. Probably feeling like they're just about average right now. Feeling like they haven't really done much one way or another at this point. Aliens, Boba Fett's, Dirt Devils, Senators. Do not despair just yet. It's a long season, 3 games in, but 1 and 2 is not where you want to be. But at least you're not the 0-3 Steel City Mongols, who I'm guessing are sitting at home saying, we still have the pack full and we'll just drink from that and be happy. So that's where we are after 3 weeks. Very early. And we go.
Right on.
Well done. Yeah. Little early to be panicking. We talked last week about, the fact we have a 14-game season. You can maybe wait a little bit longer to hit the panic button this year. But I will tell you personally, I'm starting to look around for it. And I may not be the only team. Rich, any commissioner updates?
The only update I want to give everyone is around the reminder I did on the FA priority picks. And we're going to state it now. I just put it in the commissioner report. I had said in the email initially that we would just call it 90 minutes for any game, but I was worried that you might not get injury reports up until an hour. So I said that the basic rule is an hour before any game. You could submit your FA or priority picks. You could do that on Thursday and on Saturday. And COVID picks are basically the same should that be an issue. So far, so good. Haven't had any COVID issues. Hope we don't. And we can take it from there. I think other than that, it's week 4. I can't believe it's already been that fast, which is amazing. And let's enjoy it. There's 11 weeks left for us ahead of us. And I'm happy to report the only other commissioner bit of news is I will be at the Patriots Tom Brady return game Sunday night. So I'm very much looking forward to that game. It should be great. I'll be in the 7th row, right about the 35-yard line behind the Patriots bench. Look for me.
Nice.
I'll be wearing the big Bills shirt.
Good.
Here's a question. What Bills jersey do you have?
I have Eric Moulds.
Nice.
Way
Oh.
retro. Yes. Eric
Nice.
Moulds.
Former alien. Yeah.
Former killer too.
There you go. I also happen to have it's semi-retired now, but I had Marshawn Lynch's as well.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good one.
Andrew is going to be very surprised. He's got a Josh Allen jersey coming at him very
Nice.
shortly.
All right.
Nice. Indoctrinate him as a Bills fan as early. Yeah.
He's in. He's been in. He's been in. Yeah, he's been in.
Good.
When he was a little younger, he was wavering around the Colts because he heard a lot about Andrew Luck when he was younger, and then he was revolving around the Vikings just because he sort of liked the Vikings.
Because he's obviously a very intelligent kid.
And then he came around and was like, "I'm all in on the Bills." So he's a Bills fan, and
So just like you and me, he's destined to a lifetime of suffering.
1,000%.
Yep.
1,000%. Hope for this year, Phil. Vikings, Bills, Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to it.
Meet you there. Yep.
There you go. Back to you, Stick.
All right. So let's talk TFFL. So when I rattled off some headlines, you might think I overlooked the K-Wheels. Our highest scoring team in the league, correct me if I get any of this wrong, Hank, highest scoring team in the league through 3 weeks, 20 points up, I think, on the rest of the league.
Yeah.
99 points, just missed 100 in week 3. 95, I believe it was, in week 2.
Yep.
Yeah, I call that out in the report.
So first off, I hope the despair is over. You should be feeling good about this team.
I'm hoping. Yeah.
We're not going to sit here and anoint the K-Wheels as the favorites quite yet. It's too early for that kind of stuff. But we are going to talk about the topic that I know we've said we want to talk about, which is Tom Brady making his way to the K-Wheels via Jack's Giant Killers.
Yep.
I got a few questions. Let me start with you, Hank, because I kind of know the answer to this. I know how you had Deshaun Watson. We all know that. There probably were close to a half dozen times this offseason where I got an email from you saying, on some little glimmer of news out there, he's not going on the NFL's exempt list, or one of the 21 women recanted, or do you think he's going to play this year? And I think bit by bit you finally came to the conclusion Deshaun Watson is not going to play, and maybe B, somebody you probably don't want on your team anyway.
Yep.
He's not going to get traded until this legal. He's just not going to play in 2021. And then you were faced with a dilemma. You had a ton of draft picks. You could have done whatever you wanted at the quarterback position in the draft. You also could have used those draft picks to make a trade, as you ended up doing, giving up essentially not even fair to say giving up a fourth, because it was a 4-6 swap,
something like that.
Yeah, a 20 pick gap or something like that.
Yeah.
How did you go about?
Well, look, I think as it came down to it, there was one person who had an extra quarterback that was going to go back into the pool or going to extract some value from it. It happened to be my friend Berto. And, that makes me warm and feel warm inside that I could talk to him about a trade, because he's a very good trader, and he usually gets the best of a lot of deals that he's made, including with me. And I think in this case, I had him, a little bit by the sack, and was like, look, you can either get something from me today, or you can get nothing from him tomorrow. Here's what I got, and I'd offered something even worse than what he took. And he got me up to that point. And, I figured, yes, that is well worth it to take a gamble on Brady and see if he can still have some magic as an aging older man.
Did you pick Brady over? Because there were other options. Matt Stafford, for instance.
Yep. Yep. No, Brady was the guy that I thought was the most sensical, because the other thing I had in mind is I wanted to get a younger quarterback now that I'm trying to find somebody to replace Deshaun Watson. So I'm kind of thinking Brady's great. Let's get Brady, ride him this year, and see if I can't get one of these other guys to then step into that role, and we'll see. Maybe that'll work, maybe not. But right now, he's doing great, and let's keep that going.
So if Berto had stiff armed you on this,
yeah,
you would not have gone and maybe traded for Stafford. You would have just
maybe. No, I might. No, I don't want to say that at all. I came to the conclusion that as we got into the final days before keeper deadline, that there was probably a deal for me to make to get a quarterback, and then not be forced to have to adjust my draft strategy too much to go get a starting quarterback. So I think that made some sense. And like I said, Berto was the more willing trading partner in this sense. And I did inquire about Stafford. But I think this deal was a little better for me.
Berto, you were going to let Brady go. He was perhaps going to get drafted by the K-Wheels anyway. But maybe not. Do you really have regrets about it? I guess the best case scenario would be you let him go and somebody other than one of your division rivals takes him. Do you really have regrets about this?
A little bit. He's going crazy right now, and that's one of the. Michael showed up at the house, and we immediately got into the conversation about trading Brady because I think you guys were talking about it in the car ride down, and
we were.
That conversation has stuck with me up until week 4 here. That I did go back and forth on this, not just about Brady. It was between Brady, Burrow, and DJ Moore too before I traded him. And it's always when you trade people at the trade deadline because you have extra talent on your team. There's always that. A little bit of anxiety that player that you drafted is going to do some good stuff. DJ Moore's having a pretty good season too. Whenever you trade people away like that, there's always that feeling, but it's you can't avoid that. And to Phil's point, it's either you're not going to have that person on your team anyway, so you get a little value for them. However, in this case, the fact that he's on the wheels and I made that maybe a little bit easier for Phil, I don't love that part of it. It freed up Phil to draft a young quarterback too. He would have had to have drafted a vet earlier. So, I'm slightly regretting it. But I'll say this, the pick that I got Jalen Hurts with was the pick that I got from Phil.
Which was a great pick.
Yeah.
So, Hurts at number 48, I think is going to be very good. He's going through some growing pains right now, but so the other thing though, I kind of go back and forth because Brady he's not going to be done this year either. He's going to play at least one more year. So I don't know. Right now, it's probably a mistake, and I'm somewhat regretting it. But I had already made my decision to keep Burrow. So
that's as we talk about it. I wonder if we're really asking the wrong question. Should Berto have traded Brady to the K-Wheels? The real question maybe should you have kept Brady over Burrow? Are you really going to regret that? Yeah.
Yes, and that is the Michael's like your window's open. You got a good team, and I'm like, yeah, I know. However, I haven't been in this position in a long time where I maybe have a quarterback for a decade. So, I did think about that when I made because I was looking at between, like I said, Brady, Burrow, and DJ Moore, the three of them. And it came down to the fact that I at least had to give this guy a shot to see if he is going to live up to a number 1 pick caliber quarterback, that a guy that I can have on my team for 10 years. And the way that the Cincinnati offense kind of was looking and the receivers that they had there and drafting Chase, I'm like, I gotta see what this guy's got. But yeah, this could come back to haunt me for sure. And, the jury's still out. Right now, it doesn't look like I made the right decision for this year. But
don't beat
down the
yourself up,
road-
Berto. Look, I'd be the first guy to tell you, hey, beat yourself up. I think you definitely screwed this one up. But look, you and I talked about it very candidly when we did this trade. Joe Burrow is a guy that you definitely want to give a chance to. And
Right.
Brady, this year maybe has got more upside than Burrow, head to head. But if you look at it on a larger scale, which is what our league is, as you build teams over time, at this point in Brady's career against Burrow, you got to try Burrow.
Yeah. The other thing too, though, you do look at the Tampa weapons, and I was thinking about this. You don't expect Gronk to be back to where he was, and he's playing like that right now. And thankfully, I got him at least. But then you look at the rest of the offense, and it's pretty damn good. And that's the part that I'm like, I felt uneasy about that. Yeah, the Cincinnati offense can be really good too. The line certainly needs some improvement, but you look at the weapons that Tampa Bay has, and it's there's a lot there. But I do think that even if I hadn't made this trade with Phil, I think he's probably he would have drafted him anyway, and he would have figured that out.
Yep.
So
yeah, I would have, because
I take solace in the fact that I think he would have gotten it because you had enough draft picks that you would have. So I think about that part of it, that Phil would have been the logical person because he had more draft picks than other people earlier. I don't think anyone else would have jumped on him anyway. So, I think he would have wound up on the K-Wheels anyway.
I think you're right. And like you said, I was the only market for a quarterback. Everybody else had their guy locked in. So there was no place else for a guy to land. And you're right. If we hadn't made that trade, yes, I would have prioritized Brady, who I decided I valued over Stafford or anybody else who was there, Tannehill or some of the other guys. I would have got him. So don't feel too bad.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, well, one, I think you guys, I love that Phil was, that was total GM thinking. The whole idea about drafting the rookies, going after this guy, what Berto's just pointed out about the future, the draft, what he has to do, what would have forced his hand. That's the part of the TFFL I love, right? That it's your thing. That's what makes our league awesome. It's the fact you have to be thinking more in those terms, which was exactly why I didn't take Jamar Chase as an example. But the whole idea of that is thinking like a GM. It's thinking about how you got to build this team now and into the future. I think Berto, you didn't make a bad decision. Burrows is a solid guy who, again, he's 40 points plus behind Brady right now at the start of the season. But matchups are matchups. You see what happens as the season goes on, and who knows? You can't say anything about injuries either, because Burrow missed half the end of last year, and Brady's just going. So age doesn't matter. It's really about matchups and what happens and the people around him. And Brady's a little bit stronger from what he has around him and the experience. Might have been a better keeper for you short term. But maybe you could have made an argument to keep two quarterbacks in that scenario. That's one thing we haven't discussed. But was there an option? Did you go and grab somebody else to fill a 7th spot, or could you have kept both of those guys and had it, the best of both worlds? A guy this year who's number one, fantasy quarterback right now, while you also have Burrows for the future.
No.
Giant Killers they were too stocked this year. Yeah.
It was just
no, I don't like keeping two quarterbacks anyway.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't
not with the team I had this year. So.
Has that been done more than like once or twice? I meid I do know that it's been done, I think, but yeah,
it's been done a handful. It depends on the rest of your roster.
Exactly. I mean, it could, in that scenario, if Berto didn't have a lot of other guys who wanted to trade it away, that would have been a justifiable argument.
Absolutely. That'd be the scenario to do it. Is you got your
I got a guy coming off an injury. I got a guy who just won a Super Bowl. I got the next coming, and I got a guy who's on fire, right, with great weapons around him. So it could have been made a good argument.
I'm here.
So I don't even know if I have a question here, but it's certainly worth noting as we talk about developing young quarterbacks and the K-Wheels strategy of going after Justin Fields this year. This year's crop of rookie quarterbacks, who we were, I think, all fairly excited about, are really struggling right now.
Oh, they suck.
Trevor Lawrence on the Aliens is turning the ball over at a crazy pace. So is Kyle Wilson with the Jets. He's had, I think that second game of the year was that against Denver. Might have been the worst. I think the worst performance out of all three of these guys was probably Justin Fields' game this past week. And that's got to be a scary thing for the K-Wheels. I don't want to dwell on it too much this early in the year, but I can remember seeing Tua last year in his first game or two and going, I'm just not,
Not sure he's ready.
Not only isn't he ready, but I'm not seeing the kind of instant. You saw it. I remember we talked about it when Baker Mayfield first came. You can kind of tell whether these guys just feel comfortable and are throwing the ball in the right spot.
Did you see Dan Orlovsky yesterday on ESPN? Mm-hmm. He gave one of those right to the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Nagy in Chicago should be fired today, right now. Stop. He had 149 days to get a game plan ready to utilize Justin Fields' strength of getting him on the move, rolling him out. He did so many dropbacks of five-man coverage. Anyway, he went on and on about all this coaching strategic blunders that Matt Nagy had, and basically said he threw him out there with no protection, with no help, and it's negligence. So I'm not worried about Justin Fields at this point. I am very hopeful that he doesn't get killed in the short term while this coach in Chicago, who's obviously over his head. So we'll see.
I think the thing last year is Burrow looked really good before he got hurt. And that was the other thing that really, solidified things for me. He really looked good before he got hurt, and he was throwing the ball a lot. And Justin Herbert looked really good and is playing really well last year and is playing well this year. So to put up what these guys are doing against those guys last year, it's definitely a notch below. But at least they're playing, or Trevor Lawrence is playing, and Zach Wilson is playing. They're getting the experience now, and they got to go through that a little bit. It's better than if these guys aren't playing games or they're getting in for the last few games of the season or whatever. You have no measuring stick to see if they're viable, keeper guys. You knew Trevor Lawrence wasn't going to come in and light things up. This is kind of what you expected, at least for the beginning of the season, and he's going to get better. He's going to be good.
I'm not worried about him either. And who knows? I'd love to blame Urban Meyer. But I think Trevor Lawrence has, from what I can tell, been terribly inaccurate the first three weeks. I saw the dumb pick six. That was just a dumb throw. It was that was Urban Meyer's fault too, with the stupid flea flicker call, leaving him. You don't. And anyway.
You could even say the same thing about Jalen Hurts. First of all, the coach wearing, the Eagles beat Dallas T-shirt to a press conference is dumb. It's been terrible play calling. Like, as an Eagles fan, watching what's going on there right now with a new head coach it's not pretty either.
That guy's over his head.
So, I think Jalen Hurts could be really good, but he's being held back right now by the play calling, I feel like. So, there's issues. There's some head coaching stuff there, and there's some growing pain stuff there. But I think, these guys, the jury, Trey Lance, we'll see. Justin Fields, we'll see. Zach Wilson, he
plays for the Jets.
It's the Jets, but at least Adam Gase isn't there. But they'll be better. Not all these guys will pan out and be great quarterbacks, but a couple of them will be, and and I'm including guys like Hurts in there, and some of these other guys.
Hurts leads the pack, and if that's any consolation, Hurts leads the pack in terms of rookie quarterbacks. I mean, I consider him a rookie. He only played 4 or 5 games last year, right? So I still consider him pretty much a rookie.
Hurts is doing just fine.
He's doing
I
great.
was going to say he's like middle of the pack in the top 10 quarterbacks. So that's not so bad. But after that, you got Taylor Heineke, right? Who is the leader amongst all others that you'd consider in that group.
Well, that's another
guys.
That's another guy. Yeah, that's another guy too. I mean, like I said, in putting him in that group, like there's probably a couple others too. A couple of those guys will pan out to be really excellent quarterbacks, and the other guys will be, fair to good.
Berto, I think lost in all there is actually a really good point, which is, when you look at Joe Burrow and the Bengals, you can get excited about Burrow because the weapons are there. He's throwing to Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. He's got a good running back. The offensive line could be better, but Justin Herbert was successful in San Diego in part because Keenan Allen is actually a very underrated top flight receiver. Mike Williams.
Eckler.
Yeah, he's got Austin Eckler, a top flight receiving running back. Mike Williams, even before the season, you could look at him and say he's got the talent of the number 7 overall pick in the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. He's finally busting out now. Then you turn to Jacksonville, and there is no first-round draft pick in their receiving room. You turn to the Jets. You got Corey Davis. Eli Moore is unproven, and you got nothing else. And Chicago, Allen Robinson is nice. Mooney is okay, but the weapons aren't there either. That makes it a lot easier on Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow to come in right away when you got that kind of talent you're throwing to.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I'm getting texted.
Sorry,
I'm getting texted from Thornburg in the middle. I just want to answer the question. Gretzky is wearing a Jaffa helmet, and Messier is wearing a Cooper helmet. So in the picture, he's asking me about the helmets in the picture over my head.
Glad we cleared that up.
There you go, Thornburg.
Cooper Jaffa?
Cooper and Jaffa, yes.
It's got to be one of my favorite pictures of all time.
Oh, yeah, good.
That'll be a nice dividing line. We'll move on to another subject.
Yes.
We don't need to dwell on this next one much, but before we get too far away from the TFFL draft, I wanted to bring up one other anomaly that we should record for posterity and issue any due beatings. The Hormel Hams. Let's talk about their kicker strategy, if you will. Because I think we would give people a lot of crap, for blowing.
It's a good call.
Yeah,
we got a lot of crap.
All right, I just want to make sure we document this. If I've got this correct, the only kicker he took with the second to last pick in the draft at the end of the 13th round was some guy I'd never heard of, Quinn Nordin, kicker apparently for the Patriots.
Now on IR.
And the reason none of us had ever heard of him was, he doesn't have a job with the Patriots other than being on IR. And then now here's where I don't have all the details, ended up trading a decent draft pick, all things considered, an 8th rounder.
Collusion.
Oh, that's not collusion. Ralph was the only person willing to trade with him, and he did not. And he was not going to allow it to be just a gimme. So it's no collusion because Ralph extorted the 8. Anybody else could have gotten an 8. Michael was asking everybody to trade with him, and nobody was trading with him.
No, so I would have absolutely made a trade with him to get some value, but I had Suck Up, who had already played, and the other kick and Blankenship right to start that week. I would have made a trade.
Yeah, you were there with me, Berto, when we were chatting.
So it wasn't just an 8th round pick. It was also a free agent pick as well. It was a pretty good haul.
He had to give away shit to get somebody to help him in a tough position. Otherwise, he was fucked.
It was an 8th round pick, and a free agent pick and a free agent pick.
Now, in the interest of proper full disclosure, Hopkins he got Dustin Hopkins, who came out and scored 10 points in week 1, 12 points in week 2, had a letdown to 3 points last week. I don't know this for sure, but those might have even been difference-making totals. The Hams were 2-0. So Hopkins certainly was not a bad pickup, but that was a big price to pay for a kicker. And does anybody know? I mean, what the hell were the Hams doing?
No, I just think that they weren't thinking straight, and they saw something in their draft app tool that made it look like he was going to be a winner, and that maybe he was scheming on something that had really good news reports on him that was wrong. Meaning wrong in terms of his status, not wrong in terms of his talent. I think maybe that everything Michael was reading at the time was pointing to this guy of being a steal to a degree. And I think that in whatever he was using to draft had him in as the starter.
Berto, hold on. Berto was sitting next to Michael, so I just want to make sure he didn't. It wasn't like he didn't forget to draft a kicker until the very end, right?
No. So I was sitting with Michael at the table there, and so Michael's strategy was, why am I going to pick a kicker this early? And I think he had some later draft picks, right? So, he was pushing that as far as he could go, right? And
you got to let me jump in here. You got to let me jump in. Michael made this.
But hold on. But before he walked up, he showed me the guy, and I'm like, okay, yeah, go. I didn't even know who the kicker was, and I didn't realize he hadn't picked another kicker yet. But I'm like, oh, yeah, go for it, whatever. And he had the guy up, and then he's injured. I think it's an abdomen or something, and he's on IR. And it sucks, but it's risky. Like, if you don't have every detail and you only have one kicker, that's tough. Being without a kicker is rough. I mean, I played a playoff game without a kicker. It sucks, and that's why I draft 2, because kickers do get hurt. And if you're gonna do that strategy of only drafting 1, at least I do, a defense, because the defense can't get hurt. But anyway, so what were you gonna say, Phil?
Okay. Michael did this to himself intentionally and sat there applauding as people were taking kickers earlier in the rounds. Like, oh, great. Yeah, it's a great pick. You should lead them. He was downright obnoxious about.
Really? I missed all that.
Kickers. All right.
So, I was too involved with Nick. Keeping track of all your picks.
The fact that Michael ended up drafting a kicker that he didn't have any insight. I'm going to guarantee you he did not have insight into, oh, this guy's a really good kicker, I'm going to take him, it's a steal. It was the guy that was listed as a starter on his list. That's what he was left with. Possibly. And he deserved every bit of the headache and payment that he had to put into this, because you don't draft one kicker. You know better. And maybe now he will know better, but I'm guessing that next year he'll be chirping the same thing. Oh, you guys always overvalue kickers. You always do this. Well, fair enough, Michael, but I just got, 17 out of Tucker this weekend, and, feel pretty good about where I got him. And you didn't have a kicker, and that's why it made me angry that there was a trade being made, of course, with Ralph, as always. Giovenco collusion conspiracy tour continues.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with it. But
okay. And whatever. Bad move by Michael. He deserved it, and it's karma smacking him right back in the face.
And that's why I used the word disdain. Yes, there was definitely disdain for people taking kickers early, but you can't. It's been proven time and time again. Having a good kicker is Justin Tucker beat me.
Won me a pack bowl, baby. Won me a pack bowl.
17. He's my nemesis. He scored 17 this week. Not that mattered, as it turned out, because Phil opened up a can of whoop ass. But Having a good kicker who's going to put up points like that consistently is important in this league. For the amount of
It matters.
when you're talking about 70 points, it's a good score.
Comes down to basics for me.
Having a reliable kicker is important.
It is, and look, for those people who are making fun of or whatever, I got the Pack Bowl to prove it. And the bottom line is, once I fill out my starters, that's a starting position you want to have the best possible point total for. So why not go after somebody who's going to put a high number in there, each
Or
week?
if you don't want to reach,
I think I started that trend, maybe, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
The first, no problem. Don't be the last. Don't be the guy who's picking Quentin Norden or whoever it is. Get one of the top 10 guys.
Yeah, Phil, I think you nailed it. We tried to get Michael on here to defend himself at the last minute. Probably wasn't real fair to him. But anyway, no, I think he had the strategy. I'm going to take whoever's left. And the problem with kickers these days in the NFL is there's probably 6 to 8 jobs around the NFL that, coming down to cuts where you really don't know quite who's won the job, who's going to get put on IR, who's going to get traded. And you really just can't expect there's going to be a pool of 10 guys that you can confidently pick from. I will disagree with you guys that I think it is okay to come out of the draft with only one kicker, but you better make sure you got somebody who's solid, whose job is not going anywhere. You'll have to get a second kicker at some point. And I'd rather get my second kicker from the free agent pool in week 7 when you know who has a job than taking a stab on somebody in the 13th round when you don't really know what's settled there. Yeah, but yeah, Michael screwed this up clearly.
But kudos to Ralph for getting pretty good value. So
yeah. I mean, I was standing there. I could have made the trade, but I wasn't willing to give up my kickers at the time that I had. I mean, I just drafted the guy and friggin', I had the Mongols clamoring over the fact I took Gano for like most of the evening.
Now, again, with only one, they still only have one kicker. They are going to have to go spend something else to go get another kicker at some point.
Oh, no, they'll just swap with Ralph. 100%.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's what will happen.
And then you tell me it's not collusion, Commissioner. You tell me that's not collusion.
I was there. Berto was there, witnessed it. Ralph did not even want to trade with him.
Ralph extracted good value.
Yeah, so you could say there might be collusion later. You're projecting that maybe there will be collusion.
I agree that'll happen.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But for now, I can tell you I was there live. There was no collusion.
No. But all of us, many of us are going to make a deal at some point to, move a kicker to get a defense. That is going to happen. So.
Well, if that's your strategy and that's what you're going to do with others, then you can do it. Yeah.
So that's
not how I play. I draft 2 kickers and 2 defenses, and that's how I play.
Me too.
That's a perfect segue to our final topic, Berto, talking about all the deals we're going to make. Because while I don't really want to talk about all the deals we're going to make, I do want to make note of Ralph's incredible trade data that he shared with us today. And again, the data itself is really kind of irrelevant at this point. I just love the fact that Ralph, of all people, who has not been very engaged, clearly went through a stick-esque exercise of mining, archive data, and I want to see the scribbles and the check marks, and pulling out a calculator to do percentages. And I mean, this was not a 2-minute project.
No.
So I'm enjoying picturing Ralph going through that exercise, and I'm very pleased to see him being disengaged, even if it was at the aliens' expense.
For whatever it is, Stick, you're getting Ralph. you're pushing his buttons somehow. I don't know how, but keep doing it.
Yeah, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he went to town on the analysis. Now, Kramer, I think, was going to fill out the rest of the trade stuff since he's Mr. Trade Guy. But I welcome, if Ralph has the time and effort, it's not very hard to go onto the website and look through emails of all the trades. You can see every transaction that ever occurred last year. And that's basically all you got to catch up on is the last 2 years. Is that it? 2019 it went to, or 220?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't remember. I didn't even know that tab existed in the essential doc. So whatever, but it's all captured on com.com. I'm sure you can run some analysis and export some data from that too.
All right, so why don't we wrap up with our trivia answer, and then Rich, if you've got it, we'll go through the schedule real quick, looking ahead to 4 action.
I got all that available to me right here.
Berto, you got 2 SoCos there.
Yeah, Berto. That's Berto can do that.
Yeah, SoCo East and SoCo West.
You're saying okay.
He's saying SoCo both. I'm saying NoCo East, SoCo West.
Yep.
I'm going to guess SoCo for both. I'm going to mirror Berto's answer.
Sounds like a SoCo owner question.
That's my theory on this one.
That's probably a good theory.
It is. But Hank and I had the same answer, so I think we did. Hank, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Did we have the same answer?
It's a split. The NoCo East beat the SoCo East 5-4 last year.
Also,
So
the Wheels and the Killers didn't really have great seasons last year, so that was my other thinking.
So if you had NoCo East, which was not me, I guess.
That's me and Berkman.
And the SoCo West
Berkman
defeated the NoCo West. Let me get this out here.
I get 1.
9-0.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Wow.
SoCo West beat the NoCo West 9-0.
Yeah. Should have only played. Well, no, I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
I trust Chief.
Yeah,
that's right.
I trust Chief. Yeah, that's right. That's 9-0. That's rough.
That's a clean sweep. Yeah. So 2 points possible, 1 for each of those. Berto, did we get none of those?
Get 1.
You and I got 1. Okay.
You guys get 1. See, we should get more points for that. No, Berkman, I get 2.
All right.
Is it only 1 point for each answer?
1 point for each answer.
Yeah.
That's cool. I jumped up in the ranks there.
So you got 2, Berkman?
I did.
Hank got 1. Berto got 1.
2.
You got 2, Hank?
Hank got 2.
Berto
2.
Okay.
Don't cheat me.
I won't. And Chief's keeping score as well, I presume. So I'm going to stash all this stuff right here in my drawer. And we'll open up a new envelope next week. Thank you, Chief. Nice. All right. Rich, let's look ahead to week 4.
Right on.
They're all big games every week, but
there's some big games. And when you look across the board this week, I think the games of the week look like the Beavers Killers. I think that's probably matchup wise a decent one. And then you got the maybe Aliens Hams. That might be a good one. From that perspective, if Stick can get some of his team together there. I mean, Fat Sponge. So we got, just to run through it, Beavers Killers, K-Wheels Mongols. I feel like the Mongols, unfortunately, I feel you going 0-4, buddy. Boba Fett Sponge. That could be a decent game. You never know what's going to show up there based on what happened last week. I don't know. Aliens Hams, Ampac Devils. And then you got the Senators and the Lizards, which could be a really good matchup too. So I like that matchup maybe even best. The Senators and the Lizards might be the game of the week, with the Senators climbing their way back out while the Lizards try to maintain their undefeated status. You're on mute.
I feel like we've got some bigger point spreads this week.
We do. We have some bigger.
I haven't looked at the point spreads. I was just reading the games, but there you go.
No, I think that's a good pick on the game of the week, because the Senators are in. They need to win. They need to win, and Berkman is off to a great start, and that's an important game. I think more important for the Senators necessarily than the Lizards.
There's a few games like that, and yeah, the Senators are not a bad team. But we've talked about how they've been bulldozed by some big scores, and now they get another good team in the Lizards, an undefeated Lizards team, and the Senators could find themselves on the brink.
I mean, you look at last week. I would have beat the Senators last week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's not the only. You look at the Mongols again. You mentioned them. They're 0-3 and playing the K Wheels, season on the brink type of game. The Aliens to some degree playing a good 2-1 Hams team. The AMPAC, the Devils have already been worried about what the season is going to turn out like, and now they play the AMPAC to potentially fall to 1-3. So some important games for teams that have gotten to a slow start and are now facing a really strong team in week 4. Just a tough matchup. All right. I think that's it, guys. Coming in just under an hour. Well done. Hey, all Rich, undefeated. Hank, our highest scoring team. Berto, 2-1 in a tough division. But you guys are all doing great. Keep it up. Good luck this week. And we'll be back here every Wednesday. We're in our zone now. We'll try to again get Chief to join us every once in a while. Maybe get Michael on here soon. He can defend his kicker strategy. But good luck, everybody, as always. And we'll see you back here in a week. Take care.
Enjoy the commissioner report. Have a great week,
Yes.
everyone.
Right, Jen.
Look for me at the game.
Yes, enjoy it.
Thanks.
Later, boys.
All right. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
Does Berto know that we don't hang out for a few minutes afterwards? He just clicks and